Hello, Hanover veterans, Ben Quell, doing a weekly broadcast from the Foxhole here. Things in the office have continued to roll along. I'm doing appointments both off-site and in the office. Just want to remind veterans and families I'm here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You can get into the office anytime from 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock. I just ask that you call first, make an appointment so I'm knowing I'll be here and I'm prepared for whatever it is we're going to be having the appointment with. Remind you to please wear a face mask when you're in the office with me, as I will as well. Continually, I've been doing transports for veterans and spouses for critical appointments, and that's pretty broad. There's a number of reasons that the veterans and their surviving spouses who have lost the ability to self-transport need to get out. Doctor's appointments, obviously, pharmacy, food shopping, banking, those types of things. So again, if there's anything related to a veteran issue, or if there's a veteran out there, a spouse, you think you need to contact me and let me know, you can contact me at 781-826-5000, extension 1107. Again, my office is here at the Senior Center, which, if you have GPS, is 665 Center Street here in Hanover. Just a quick topic I want to cover today on the informational front. I think I might have covered it in past videos, but it's important because we have a number of veterans within our community that are on service-connected disability, meaning they have what's called the disability rating. It can be anywhere from 0 to 100%. And the veteran knows this when they've gone through the application process with somebody like myself, and they get an award letter. And it tells them what their percentage disability rating is, what the rating is for, and how much their monthly stipend will be connected to that rating. However, a number of things can happen within the application process. One, which is the worst thing that can happen, you can be flat out denied. Or two, you might get a rating that you think you disagree with. You think it's too low. It should have been higher. Or the VA can suddenly change your rating. And I've had that happen a few times just in the last couple months, where a rating was changed from, say, 70% down to 50%. I saw that a number of times with PTSD. And anytime the VA makes a decision on your rating of any kind, you can appeal it. You can tell them you disagree. And there's a number of ways you can go about disagreeing. Now, going back a couple years ago, the way you would file an appeal would be initially just letting the VA know you disagree with them. And then later on, you had to get some mail from them and decide how you want to go ahead and have them hear your appeal or handle your appeal. It was complex, it was inefficient, it was very lengthy. And fortunately, starting in February of last year, the VA passed legislation called the Veterans Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act of 2017. And there's actually a quick start guide that can help you through the process. And it really has worked very well. It gives the veteran and their representative choices as to how they want to go about appealing the decision. It's quicker, and these appeals are being handled faster. Matter of fact, the vast majority of them are handled within about no later than 120 days, and I can tell you that they're being handled a lot quicker than that. But it also, and that's the nice thing about the Modernization Act, it set limits on the VA that they cannot continue out an appeal beyond 125 days from the time you file it. What's also nice is that if you decide you want to choose an option where you are submitting new evidence that's come up since your initial application, it gives you 90 days to do that. So within the appeal process, you can submit something and it won't hold it up like it did in the past. So it's really working out well. Now let me explain how it works. And there are really three main avenues that you choose when you want to appeal a decision that you don't like. The first one, and the one I use most often in the office, is called a supplemental claim. And you can kind of see from the title what it means, is that you're saying that you disagree, and that since you have applied your initial application, that you have gotten a decision that you disagree on, you are now submitting new relevant evidence. This is usually evidence that will add more weight to your initial application. Okay, it could have been scenario would have been where, say, some medical records were attained, but they really didn't give a lot of weight to the injury that the veteran is claiming. I had that happen with me, where I broke my foot and I went to the emergency room, but my medical records only showed me being admitted to the emergency room with foot pain. It didn't whoever treated me, and I remember they took x-rays and they saw the broken bones. Whoever treated me, they released me on crutches with a cast, but they never did their due diligence to follow up with the diagnosis to show that I had actually broken my foot. They just showed me being admitted. So as part of my claim, I had to actually go find an old buddy of mine that was in Fort Sill with me when I did it. And knows, and he had to write a letter of support saying that, absolutely, I'd broken my foot. So something like that could happen, where you put an initial application in, they pull your medical records, and it just doesn't have a lot of weight to it. And then you get a decision you don't like, and it says in the decision, the reason being is XYZ, like say medical records weren't heavy weighted, they didn't really show the injury. So now, you've got time, you can file your supplemental claim, and then you've got 90 days to go track somebody down, let's say, that can write a letter in support of you. And I've done this with a number of veterans, and submit that. And that's now new and relevant information that could change the decision. Now, the person making the decision within the VA is the same review officer. That's not going to change in this particular appeal that you've chosen. Okay. Now, you may not have any new relevant information, but you may just disagree with this particular person's decision, and you would like it to be elevated to what they call the option 2, which is a higher level review, where you're really sending it up to that person's supervisor and have a second set of eyes put on it. And if that person finds a mistake was made or something was overlooked that shouldn't have been, then they can send it back down to the initial review officer to say, I need you to look at this again. They can, and that supervisor can overrule them. They can say that I didn't agree with your decision and I'm actually awarding it. So this higher level review process doesn't have new evidence. It's just looking for errors, and you're asking for somebody else to take a look at it and decide whether or not they agree. The third option is you can go right to a board of appeals, meaning it's switching departments. It's now going from these people that actually process applications and make decisions. Now it's going over to the people who their job is strictly to look at cases that have been appealed and are not being agreed upon by the veteran. And within this third option, you have three options of how that gets taken care of. It can just be a direct review, where you're not asking it to go to the entire board. You're just asking for somebody to look at the evidence and decide whether or not that the decision is correct. No new evidence is submitted with this. You're just having somebody within it's not the whole board, it's just one person to look at it and see if there's something that doesn't look right. The other way you can do is they call what's called an evidence submission. That within the time of your appeal, remember you have 90 days to submit new evidence. So you're going to send it to not the whole board, but you're going to send it to somebody within the appeals office, and you're going to be sending new evidence. Okay? And if they like that new evidence, they can overturn it. Or there's the last option, which is you're looking to go right to a law judge. Okay, you want a board hearing, and you have the opportunity. You can submit additional evidence, but you're wanting the board hearing. Now, this one takes the longest to get. Okay, But when it does, you and your representative can be heard. Now they're doing these things virtually right now, and it works fine. And again, you have 90 days from the time you put the submission in to gather up and submit new evidence. Now, there are different ways that you can have them contact you. Going back to that direct review, if you want something simple as just a phone call, they'll do that. Somebody within the appeals office will just contact you and allow you to have your say. Okay? And so again, it really kind of, all these decisions, which avenue you take is not really something you have to figure out. If you want, you can contact my office. You can contact other people, help with the appeals process, and they can kind of guide you as to what's the best avenue to go on. I know I've kind of thrown a lot at you. It really comes down to whether or not you have new evidence and how quick you want some resolution on this, in the manner in which you want to be heard. Okay, I said that I can help you with this. I am a VSO, but there are other avenues you can go for help. There are attorneys out there that are accredited by the VA. Obviously, I don't charge a fee, but an attorney may. So it's kind of depends on your finances how you want to do this. The last thing I want to say is when you get a decision letter of any kind, okay, when it comes to the appeal process, you have 1 year from the time you get that letter to file one of these appeal avenues that I've talked about. However, if you don't get your appeal in within 1 year of your decision, it doesn't mean that your goose is cooked. You can still file a supplemental claim, like I've talked about, where you have new evidence, things have come up, and that happens. Somebody just sort of accepts their decision, they don't really have the evidence, then something comes up down the road. They come upon some data or some paperwork or something that they didn't even know they had. It's gone beyond the year. You can still file a supplemental claim. The only caveat to that is if they do make a decision based on that supplemental claim in your favor, the date of that is the date of your appeal. It doesn't retroactive back to the date of your initial submission like it did with the other appeals I talked about that were done on time. If you feel that a mistake was made, you've identified something, it's been outside of a year, and you feel like a mistake was made, you can still file an appeal based on the fact you think an error was made. And if they side on your favor in that scenario, then they will retroactive it back to the initial date of appeal, or excuse me, the initial date of application. So again, I know I threw a lot at you here. Don't get wrapped around the axle on all the details. Bottom line is, if you get a decision that you don't like, you can contact my office. Again, that's 781-826-5000, extension 1107. And we will work through the appeal process together. Okay? Stay safe, stay well.